Hey, it's Angela here. I thought it would be neat to show you an inspection. It is late, mid-February. It's not super warm out, but it's also not cold. Obviously, there's a lot of activity going on this particular hive. I checked this one about 3 weeks ago, and this bottom box was empty. The colony was moving up in their brood pattern. They'd entered the top box, and so what I did is I rearranged the honey frame so that only honey was on top, and then the brood was down in these areas. And I was just curious what it looks like, because I checked other colonies and there's a lot of brood up here, and a lot of the stores are gone because it's been really cold weather. So I am just really wanting to know what's going on with these folks, if I need to reverse some boxes, give some more food. So I just wanted to show. I thought it'd be kind of interesting because I felt like late winter management was always kind of a mystery to me, and it still is, I'll be honest. But so we learn. But some of the things that I'm looking for, I'm just looking at the front entrance. What does the activity look like? It's obviously booming. There's a lot of pollen coming in. So they got some babies to feed. We have drones, which is something we'll talk about in another area. That means that swarming is going to probably be starting to happen pretty soon if we see some drones out and flying. It's getting the time of year. Yeah, just checking out the entrance activity a little bit. I don't see any deformed wing virus at all. I do see some dead bees, though that is normal this time of year. I'm not too alarmed because there's not tons of them, and the bees are looking happy. They're orienting, they're not looking sickly. There's just this robust activity. No one's crawling around and then falling off and dying. I'm not seeing piles of dead bees or just sickly, wet, naked, bare looking bees. Like, these bees, they're looking happy. I did do a mite wash 3 weeks ago, and one mite dropped. So that's pretty good for this type of year. I'm going to want to check again next month because there will be more. How much more, time will tell. So I got my eye on the mites, but I don't feel a need to treat yet. So what I'm doing is I got my smoker here. I'm just going to smoke them a little bit, tell them I'm coming. See, look at that. They clear out of the way. Arian's orienting. There's something going on in there. There's actually a gap right there, so I think they're just filling with propolis or smelling or something. Smoke that a little bit. Give it a second. In the meantime, I'm going to show you just kind of what I have. This time of year, there is nectar coming in, but we're also in a dearth. I have seen some robbing activity happening when I open a hive. So I have a nuke box. When I take out frames, I just like to put them straight in here, and I cover up the entrance so that it just kind of keeps the smell contained. I don't like to have things out this time of year because it excites the robbers, and that is something you don't want in your bee yard. I got my kit here. I got my hive tools. I use a lot of receiving blankets and towels for covering things. Just crap I use is all in one thing. If I have any extra wax, I just have a little thing down there that I can put it out of the way. I'm prone to back problems, so I like to have stuff that I don't have to put very far on the ground from where I'm lifting. So I do use a table. I have these to keep down the receiving blankets. You'll see it. And then top inner covers, they just come in handy. I like to keep things covered. So this is the first time filming a video, so we're gonna see how it goes. I'm gonna put it up here, and that looks good. I'm just gonna walk you through it, and I'll talk. And there's been a generator going, so there might be noise in the background. Hopefully all you hear is me and bees though. So here's, I got my top cover. I'm gonna take it off, just put it to the side. This is a quilt box that I have. This helps with moisture. Some people don't believe in them. I really like mine. I use them on all my hives. It just helps with excess wetness, but still lets the colony have some moisture. I'm opening it up, just kind of move a little slowly. I like to check the top and just see what's going on. They're not building wax here. I have had some where they do once they're ready to have more room. I see none of that here. I'm gonna Put it down to the side. Try not to kill anybody. Those are probably nurse bees, so I want to keep them kind of close to the entrance. Nurse bees, they don't know where their home is yet. They may not know how to fly, so I like to put them towards the entrance so it's easy for them to get back. I'm just smoking the top, calm them down a little bit, let them know there's a human coming. This is a spacer, a shim. They come in really handy for just creating extra space. Tap it off, let the bees fly off. And I just put crap everywhere. I just do. It's who I am. So at this point, you see I have the colony open, or I have the hive open anyway. Since it is a little bit colder this time of year, I like to cover it. And what that's gonna do is just gonna help with the smells, that there's not just like a huge plume of honey smells. And it's also just gonna kind of keep them calm, keep them warm. And then I kind of move it back. If it's really windy, I'm gonna put a shim on top or some kind of hive tool so it doesn't blow off. But we're looking good right now. So here I've got a hive tool. I'm gonna take out the first frame to create some room. And how I do that is I stick it in between the first frame and the second frame, right next to that little inner lip, and I move it to the side. I don't use this part and jam it down because that's just gonna ruin your frame. It's just gonna ruin that little dog ear though. So I use this hook, put it there, lift it up, do the same on the other side, lift it up, and then from there, I'm trying to do this so I don't get in the way. I think it's gonna be impossible, but whatever. I just lift it up. And what I'm checking for are stores and where the brood is. So this first frame, I usually don't expect to see a whole lot this time of year because they're not storing things, and that's exactly what I see. There is nothing. This is totally empty. We've got some honey. We've got some capped honey, and here's the workers on it. That's honestly more than I was expecting, so I'm good. I'm gonna put it in this little nuke box so that nobody can smell it, and we just know it's here. Sometimes I take out more frames to give room, sometimes I don't, but I'll just put them straight back in there if I do. So yeah, now we go on to the next. So here we got, they're bringing in nectar. This is kind of neat. We have some fresh nectar. We've got some capped honey right here. We have nothing on this side. Putting it back down. When I put it back down, I like to line it up directly with the dog ear on the next frame so that I'm not squishing any bees. And I see that they have some, so what I'm gonna do is I'm just gonna kind of skip a couple frames and see what's in a, sorry about that, camera fell, don't know how. But anyway, where I was before the camera fell, I'm gonna skip in a couple frames just to see what's going on. I see that there's not a whole lot on the outside. I want to skip a few, see what we got going on in here. And again, I'm just sticking in this little hook into the side, scooching stuff over. Scooching stuff over. I'm looking to see if there's any brood in the middle is really what I want to see. And when I go straight in the middle, I can kind of peek down on either side. And yes, we have brood right here in the middle. It is, I don't know if you can really even see this here, but we got some worker brood right here. We got some worker and drone in there. I'll just take it out and I'll show you. So here we go. We got some worker brood right there in the middle. I probably should have checked for the queen first, huh? Let me check for the queen. Make sure she's not on here so I don't drop her off. And yeah, we've got some worker brood there in the middle. We've got honey, capped honey on the very bottom. And we've got nectar on either sides of that. The That's good. I like seeing that. The same on the other side. So we've got capped honey there on the top. That's worker brood, all those little like darker little combs. Open nectar here. We see workers on there. We got some baby bees. So I see, and I see some brood on this side too. I see some drones in there. I see some new nectar. Like, I don't feel like I need to really break open everything because I've seen a lot already just with this. I can see there's a good amount of honey stores on here. I see that the colony is moving their brood upwards. I'm actually going to close this so that they can have some peace before I keep talking more. I can see that the colony is starting to lay in this box, but I also see that there is capped honey, like some really good dense capped honey. There are frames of nectar. I see fresh nectar coming in, so they're getting food sources from somewhere. The brood is moving up, but it's not at the very top. They still have that honey band, so I don't feel the need to reverse boxes just yet. My hunch is this is probably still empty on the bottom because the brood is moving up. It's probably not expanding to the rate where they're also like needing a ton of extra room. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to check this again. The weather's going to be crap for the next at least a week. It's going to be cold. Also another reason that they're probably not going to be, expanding super vigorously, but I feel good leaving this here for now. I don't need to mess with them. There's still room to expand. I don't think that they would starve in the next week, but I do want to kind of keep an eye. And so my next check, I imagine that I'm probably going to be reversing the box, putting it on top, just giving them more room to increase. And that kind of repeats as they're increasing. Just reversing boxes can be a kind of constant process as you're going into the spring. But yeah, I think I'm happy. The next check, I'm also going to do a mite wash because, again, they had one mite last time, 1 per 300, which is good. Ouch! Ah, that's done. I don't mind getting stung. I don't care. 1 mite per 300. That's really good. But again, the mites populate in the cat brood, which is a lot more. So we can just expect to treat more. I will use Max. It's a 1 mite away quick strips. It's a 1 week treatment. It's nice for this time of year when we don't know exactly what the weather's going to be like for 2 weeks. And it just gets it done really quick before the honey flow, while the season is starting to get a lot of activity. So I put in my first frame. I'm just moving everything over, just kind of cramming it all together. You don't want to have any spaces. So everybody's all nice and snug. I'm going to leave that on there while I reassemble myself. Okay, what did I have? We had our shim. I like to put the shim underneath the quilt box because there's no room in between. It just gives them extra bee space. Got my quilt box. Wiggle it on so that I can crush fewer bees if possible. I put my inner thing for the quilt box. This absorbs the moisture. And I need to do it kind of quick because bees will get in really quickly. And there's tons of bees in there. Okay, so I'm gonna come back here later and get all those bees out, but I'm just gonna give this some air in the meantime, and I'll deal with that later. So yeah, what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna flip this back over after a while, let those bees fly out that got in there. And this colony check, I'm happy, they're good, I'm satisfied. I'll check them in a couple weeks. That's done. Yay, awesome. Thanks for watching.